you heavily invest in stocks and crypto and other things like that.
If you really see different investments, there are not certain set of criteria that you can utilize to go about the investment. And network is not just the network of people around you, but leveraging the network as in leveraging your capital as well. As you go further in your career or investment path, you should be comfortable to sleep with debt.
I've always been around the mentality that debt is bad and negative stigma towards that. So it's definitely cool to hear someone being an advocate for debt. Welcome everybody to our first ever episode of the Ambition Circuit. I'm super excited to have you all here. And today we will be discussing cash, college, and the climb with our first ever guest, Mr. Ved Mishra. So I will hand it to you.
Thank you, Vedash. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I'm looking forward to seeing your journey in this podcast. So, hey everyone, my name is Ved Mishra. I have 25 years of experience working in different industries. Currently working for one of the big pharma companies in US. I also have investment in real estate as well as stocks and crypto, and we can talk more on that later in the podcast. And I've also ventured into a small business. So before I get into these details, I'll ask Vedash to ask me specific questions as you wish.
Of course. So, Mr. Mishra, after reviewing your profile and reading up on you, I got to learn that you heavily invest in stocks and crypto and other things like that. And my main question for you would be, what mental frameworks do you use to guide yourself before you pursue any kind of an investment in any sector?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Vedansh. So there are three framework that I follow. One is optionality versus certainty. If you really see different investments, there are not certain set of criteria that you can utilize to go about the investment. There will always be some gaps, some uncertainty. So what you do, you look for asymmetric upside with capped downside risk, and you analyze that and understand the pros and cons and then go about it. You'll start with small, you'll do a deep analysis going into the depth versus breadth, and once you understand the nuances, then you will test the water and then you go full force once you are comfortable with it. So that's one framework. Other framework is about leveraging the network, and network is not just the network of people around you, but leveraging the network as in leveraging your capital as well, right? How you can manage your capital as well as take the debt as you go further in your career or investment path. You should be comfortable to sleep with debt on your account. Other framework that I normally follow is user intensity, how a particular investment or a business is sticky from user standpoint. So to give you an example, Tesla, Tesla, a lot of people like Tesla a lot, and a lot of people hate Tesla a lot.
Yes.
So how do you manage that user stickiness to your advantage, where you can play the long and short game in stock to get profit on either downside or upside potential of Tesla, right? Other example that I would say is pickleball. The pickleball has become very viral. It is a very friendly game. Anyone can learn within 15-20 minutes of playing, and it requires less square footage as compared to other racket sports like tennis.
Definitely, yes.
So understand the user stickiness, and then putting a bet on it is one of the successful criteria. So these are the three frameworks I abide by. Again, optionality versus certainty, leveraging your network, and then user intensity.
So that was awesome. I mean, I loved your line about being able to sleep comfortable with debt, and that's definitely a new topic for me at least, because I've always been around the mentality that debt is bad and negative stigma towards that. So it's definitely cool to hear someone being an advocate for debt and kind of suggesting that we should be not so fearful of it.
Absolutely. And just to add more details to it, back in the days, we used to say that debt creates a lot of issues, but at the same time, debt is something that you can leverage to expand your business, to expand your capabilities, right? Let's say that you have money sitting on the account earning, let's say, 4 to 5% of interest,
Yeah.
and you are getting a loan from some place that is giving you a 7% interest charge on it. You can utilize that loan money to generate uh, an income which is worth more than 7%, and that's always positive. But then I'm also not saying that you should take debt as much as possible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you should take the loan from the bank and go on the casino floor and
Gamble it away. Yeah.
put money on the table.
Yeah, but leverage your debt. I like that.
Yeah.
And then also you spoke about breadth versus depth, and I was just wondering, could you clarify that a little bit for our Gen Z audience who might not be so familiar with those terms?
Yeah, what do you meant by depth versus breadth is to look for specific skills, look for skills that are needed and that will give you edge, and go full ham on it. Go and try to research, try to go through all the tutorials, try to learn and understand the nuances of it, where generally people have not gone there.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just thinking or learning at the superficial level, understand that in and out, and that will give you an extra edge rather than trying to understand everything in all categories all at once.
Awesome. I like that. And then the other thing was, I obviously you talked about how you invest in so many different things, but I always wonder, how do you keep track of the trends in what you're investing in when you have such a diverse portfolio? And so how do you stay on top of the news and make sure that you're not, actively sleeping or not watching what your money is actively doing?
That's another excellent question. It's kind of difficult in this information age. I would say that you have more information than no information or less information.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to cut down the noise and go to the right source of information. What I generally do, and this may work for some, but for some not, but what I generally do is I listen to a lot of podcasts and I subscribe to a lot of citizen journalism, like on X, to get to the direct news.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look at curated news from different media outlet as well. Try to understand the more of the why aspect, like why this news event or why this event happened, how it happened, and when that happened. And I use a mental model that I have practiced as I go through these to understand how it will impact my investment or rather my career or anything else.
So, kind of a sub question for that is, because you talked about citizen journalism and podcasts. I mean, nowadays you're right, it is an information day and age. And so it's so easy for anyone to access any kind of information, publish any kind of information. And so, how do you make sure you're going to the right source for information and not someone who's just helplessly saying anything out of their mom's basement with no rhyme or reason to it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very difficult to filter that, right? So you have to sometimes go back to the fundamental principle and see how much knowledge you have on that particular topic. And do a lot of research. Go to the white paper if available, go to the actual source of information. And you also have to sometimes do this contradictory assessment in mind, thinking that what the biasness is from that media
From that
source,
media source, of course.
and try to keep a neutral point of view. And again, I'll go back to optionality versus certainty. You will not find a 100% answer to all your questions. You have to take a few guesses, and once you understand that and develop that gut feeling, you can use that to make decisions, either your investment and career. And I would say, do not overthink. Sometimes it's always good to do stuff and then assess and pivot than to not do anything.
Of course, yeah.
And let's take an example of investment, right? So let's say that you want to foray into crypto. Crypto has a very bad name even now, but then you don't have to invest in crypto in general. You can invest in Bitcoin, which is more standard, I would say, and more legitimized with the BlackRocks of the world creating Bitcoin ETF. So you can invest in Bitcoin just a little. You don't have to buy one. You can buy $100 worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And try to understand the underlying underpinning technology. And I would say that once you invest there, you have your money where your mouth is. You'll be a bit serious to understand that technology, and then once you have that understanding, you can then take bigger risk or more risk in that area.
Yeah, and I love how you talked about media literacy because I feel like that's something that's so overlooked upon nowadays. But I also really liked where you talked about kind of learning through experience and, maybe not buying a full $100,000 worth of Bitcoin at the moment, but just simply investing 50 or $100 in it and learning what you can from that. And so that leads me to ask you, what was your experience with Bitcoin, or how did you get involved with it at first?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I got involved into Bitcoin or related technologies at work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so
How many people can say that?
I did not invest anything because at that point I was trying to understand the underlying or the underpinning technology, which is blockchain. And I did a POC in one of the pharma companies where we have to build this enterprise blockchain solution for project approval timestamping.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was trying to understand and develop that, I was able to understand the decentralization nature of the Bitcoin blockchain, um, and it basically piqued my interest
Okay.
in learning more. And then I got into the Ethereum protocol. And once I was kind of comfortable with how the technology is working and where it can take us, I forayed into the investment part of it. I
Okay.
started small, and as I started learning more and more, I grew more confidence in what it can do, what potential it has, uh, what user intensity it has.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to my mental framework, I felt like to some folks who take a lot of pride in decentralization, who take a lot of pride in ensuring that their money is not inflated away by the government,
Yeah.
they are very close to the Bitcoin blockchain concept than other. And with that user stickiness, I thought that if some of us will have that clear understanding that as different Fed in different countries are printing so much money, if we invest in hard assets like Bitcoin or gold or real estate,
Yeah.
we can manage the value of our money in our account. So with all that understanding, I got into Bitcoin and crypto, and yeah, the rest is history.
That's cool. And then, obviously, you talked about investing in real estate, crypto, stocks, and even sports entrepreneurship. And so it seems to me that you have a very diversified overall portfolio, not even including each sector, but all together. And so, what tips would you have for someone young, someone just starting out like myself, into how they can get diversified asset classes in a way that you do?
Yeah, so another interesting question. What I would say, Vedansh, that do not think of these as ultimate outcome of money in your pocket.
Of
Think of
course.
these as investment, an investment in you. What I would do if I start at your age right now is get into a workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Get into a workforce that gives me a structure, that gives me a roof over my head, and it gives me a foundation to work off of. Um, it also gives me a lot of discipline.
Yes.
Getting up in the morning, going to office, or logging in at 9 a.m.,
Yeah.
working, shutting it down at 5 p.m., and then thinking about your personal life. It gives you that structure, and you can build on that discipline to
which
then.
is which is definitely something a lot of Gen Z people lack, I feel like, and not having structure and being able to know where your professional life and your personal life kind of split from each other. So I definitely appreciate you mentioning that.
Yeah, absolutely. And once you have that discipline, then you whatever you earn, you save that money and you
Yeah,
invest.
of course.
And for people at your age, the time is on your side.
Yeah.
So the, let the time multiply. Let the time multiply your investment, either with knowledge or with money.
And that's interesting, investing in knowledge and kind of investing in yourself and your own skills. I also hear a lot of people nowadays, because TikTok is so easily available and kind of anyone can make a video. I hear a lot of fake finance gurus talking about multiple streams of investment. And it definitely sounds interesting, but I personally find it a little, superfluous when someone simply says, take a loan from the bank for $100,000 and simply go buy a small business and go buy land and flip it. So I would like to ask you, what's your sense on multiple streams of income and how you can make that work in a more sound way that doesn't necessarily require taking on quite so much debt at quite such a young age?
Yeah, I wouldn't start into multiple source of income at the very young age. I would start with one, and I'll go back to uh, honing in on one skill,
Yeah.
depth versus breadth, right? So based on what your career path is in terms of academics, I would get into a workforce and I'll try to understand their business.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time. You have to have patience. Work in that business as a corporate job or a 9 to 5 job and try to understand their business. And once you build your resources in terms of the knowledge as well as whatever equity you may have at that time, then you can branch it out to multiple source of income. And at that point, time is on your side. You can invest in asset classes
Of course.
that are not necessarily very exciting, but that will reward you if you stay invested for a long term. Let's say that if I want to invest at this time, I wouldn't have as much time as you,
Yeah.
so I would probably take less risk compared to you. Since you have more time, you'll probably take more risks.
More risks, of course.
Yeah.
So then to sum it up, Mr. Mishra, your key points of advice for Gen Z would be that you should always approach something from a scholarly approach instead of always an investment approach to learn more about it before you invest. You should focus on honing in one stream of income and one skill instead of diversifying and trying to pour your 100% into 5 different cups. And you should always focus on investing in yourself and your skills more so than always investing in a form of land or a form of investment. Because in the long run, when the time does kind of run out, that will benefit you more than any other stream you could possibly give yourself.
Absolutely. And just add to your summary, I would also say that the health is very important as well. So go out, see the sun, smell the grass,
Of course.
and play sports, stay fit, go to the gym, because at the end of the day, you will earn your money and you'll have a good life. But when time runs out, you'll look back and you'll probably see that now I have money, but I don't have health to enjoy.
I mean, yeah, I love that because I've heard from so many places, and there's even the saying, that you can truly have 100 problems until you have one health problem, and then you only have one problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, that's why I'm pouring into pickleball. I'm opening an indoor sports facility, a premium indoor sports
Awesome.
facility,
Wow.
where I would create a social, community-friendly environment where people can play and enjoy. And pickleball is so easy; anyone can learn.
Yeah, like you said, in 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, even without any prior sports knowledge,
Yeah.
if you spend 15-20 minutes, you can play. It can give you good cardio, it can give you a good exercise, and you also get to meet people, which is very important because we are always on the phone.
Of course. And I love that. I'm very happy for you. Congratulations on your new facility. And
Thank you.
I mean, I'm sure everyone would love to hear about it. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you're offering or what the structure looks like?
Yeah, so this is a franchisor, Pickleball Kingdom franchisor, and I'll be opening one of the locations in Tinton Fall, New Jersey, with the grand opening around this fall of this year. I'm very excited about this. A lot of things to be planned, and you guys can visit my Instagram page. Vedansh, you can probably link that to your
Oh, definitely.
podcast.
It'll be down in the description below.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Mishra. It was a pleasure to have you on. And that concludes the first episode of the Ambition Circuit. So thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes with many more success stories just like Mr. Mishra. Thank you. Bye.
Take care.